systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday afternoon with my man Rio. Like always, joined by Go Collect, Nate D, Sean Sullivan, Ricky, Daniels, Richard, Pairby, Winsalot, Matt, Wardo, Jason Turner, Jason, Matt, Luis, Lachlan, Mark Davis, NY. Hey, I love seeing this. Beautiful day here in Florida. What's up, Boo fans? It is a beautiful day here in Arizona as well. I think the weather finally flips. The 50s are fine. I don't really spoil checking Wisconsin weather in the 20s, but 70 degrees plus almost every single day. Sunny. It is absolutely beautiful here. I'm in a great mood. Gangrene, Ross, Rennell, OG, Jake, Valento, Lyle, Rio. I know you're in Utah. There's snow, but there is sun. What's the temp you're rocking with on average on the daily?
I mean, we've been getting hit with a heat wave over here. It's like 50 right now. Kind of a bummer because all the snow is melting, but I'm hoping that get a nice little snowstorm coming here pretty soon, I hope. But yeah, it's not looking too good. It's pretty warm out here, so it's kind of depressing.
Depressing? That sounds the opposite of depressing to me, but I know you leave California to go get some snowboarding and stuff like that. 66 in Texas, which is a nice change. Love to see that. What's going on, Ham the man, Josh in here as well. So we got 7 games on tap in the NBA. 7 Eastern lock time, but only 1 game at 7, 3 games at 7:30, 1 at 8, and then 2 games at 10 Eastern. So I like how it's the 2-hour window, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 of the games will be done. 2 hours, you have 2 10 Eastern games. Showdown, night slate, solid prizes as well. Before we get into it, Rio, got to talk about it. We haven't had an NBA show since the monster trade, and the Mavs are the first team on the slate right here. So do you want to – actually, yeah, we'll do it right. I'll throw it to you right away. What are your thoughts on the AD Luka trade? Obviously, do you expect that blockbuster of a trade to change things coming to Thursday? Like KD now is in talks, etc. Like, is it just like no man's free? That's what people are talking about. We're gonna see some wild stuff. Do you not think it impacts other things too much? But have to start with just the trade straight up, and then how do you think it impacts the rest of the NBA before the deadline Thursday?
Yeah, I thought you were talking about the Grimes for Caleb Martin one, not the Luka for AD. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to talk about. I'm sure we could spend an hour or 2 hours talking about it, but in terms of like the ramifications that it's going to have for the league, I don't know. It's just shady business because you see, like, remember when Rudy Gobert and like Mikal Bridges were getting traded for like 5 first-round picks? It just completely skewed the trade market because then you just like. This is just such a one-sided trade. It just makes it hard. It's going to make it harder down the line to trade for teams. Now it's kind of the same thing. Like you're talking about getting Luka for 1 first-round pick and a superstar, an aging superstar that's always injured. Like it just ruins the trade market. Like you could have, if they weren't shopping him around, then like, or if they did shop him around, you're talking about you could have got like 2 really good players and probably 3 to 4 first-round picks from him, maybe even more. You probably like. The Jazz would have gave up Lauri Markkanen and 8 first-round picks for him or something like that. Like, there's a lot of shady business. I've read so many theories about what's happening. I don't know if you've seen that stuff with like the gambling in Dallas and like the owners trying to get the team to move out to Vegas. Like, there's just a lot of shady shit going on.
Yeah, I mean, the Connect rumor, like it was going to be Connect and more first rounders, and he got talked out of it. Like the reverse psychology. I really want to know the truth.
He gaslit him. Pelinka was gaslighting him.
I mean, how is that 100% a fact? Like, how true is like the weight stuff and the injury? Like, you just traded for the most injury prone guy of all time. Like, I cannot believe that the weight issue, the cardio. I can't believe anything. When you're trading for a guy named like Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis is going to play 90% of games, I don't think the trade is as crazy as other people would think. If you are saying that, I think AD is still a top 5 player when healthy, like a complete stud. But Luka's just on a different level. Like in the future, it's obviously Luka. Right now, it's still probably Luka. You know what I mean? Like and hearing the injury, the weight, all of that, I can't even believe like half the things, just like anything in life nowadays. Unfortunately, it's hard to believe anything with just one source. But do you believe like that? Or, I mean, you're looking at the gambling stuff, a bunch of theories. What theory do you think is correct? There's no way that Nico or whatever, this dude's that big of a dumbass, and he could have got connect first rounds, all this, and yeah, he got gaslit. Like, what do you think if you had to guess, the truth is about all this? There's no way Nico thought he was in the right with the trade, and he thought like, yep, we got a steal right here. Any real thoughts?
The true thoughts, I believe with Smitch, I think that they just didn't want to pay him. Like, I really think that they were highly concerned about all the weight stuff. And I saw reports saying that they think that it could have been like an Embiid situation where, he gets like age 30 and he's missing, half the games every year. Like I think you'd feel pretty dumb if you got that product of Luka and you paid that much money for him. But
they traded for a guy that like, that is what they're going to like, that's what you're going to get. Like how, I mean, I'm so happy the Bucks said no. Again, we'll get into it in a sec. Like, I would have been so mad if we got rid of Giannis for Luka. Again, I think Giannis is better, but what Giannis has done for the city, just everything, like he wants to be there from what it seems. So it sounded like the other rumor. They went to one other team. It was the Bucks. They said no, and then they went right to AD. Again, it makes no sense why go right there. I think there's other options they should explore. Someone, especially with trade or Luka's trade value, but also sounded like they wanted this all done behind closed doors without getting out to anybody, which I guess makes you forces your hand to go fast and make decisions you might not be certain with. I don't know. Any final thoughts on any of it before we keep it moving? But we had to talk about it.
Yeah. No, I think the Adam Silver was strong-arming him and telling him that we need to get the ratings up, so let's make a blockbuster trade. Send the one of the most famous people in basketball over to the Lakers so that he could extend LeBron's career a few more years.
Yeah, I do like this. Yeah, when Nico took Luka's beer, I mean, what are you doing, guy? That's a grown man. Come on. After a huge moment.
Right in front of his dad, too.
Yeah, dude, what do you think? He thought he was all slick and doing it. Oh, gosh. Yeah, that dude, his stock is falling by the day, that's for sure. Any initial broad slate overview on the 7-game slate? Again, time pretty spread out. 3 games at 7:30, 1, 8, 2 at 10 Eastern. Injury news isn't nearly as bad as it has been in the past. Do you want to, any broad slate overview, roster construction, or you just want to get into it, start with the first game?
Yeah, I guess the broad slate is yesterday we had a surplus of value. Tonight is kind of the opposite. As of right now, we don't really have a ton of value. Obviously, that could change. Probably going to – but, I mean, we also don't have a lot of spend-up options outside of LeBron. Like everybody else is – the highest priced guy outside of him is $9.9K, so probably more of a mid-tier type build. Think that game stacking is going to be pretty viable tonight. I see a couple games that really stand out to me that I want to get pretty deep into. So, I think a mid-tier build, lower on the value plays, and then really, really high on those game stacks is kind of what I'm seeing off the top.
I like it. Again, we'll go game by game, 7 games on the slate. I'll lead the ship, follow Rio's lead, the absolute man over here. Does the NBA slate plan Monday through Friday, does showdown content, of course, projections updated throughout the night, ownership to starts, GPP core report, Ham, BJ, Rio. I'm in the cash report as well. And I want to give Rio a shout out. He's not just an NBA guy, as many of you know. Took down 26,000 cool ones in the PGA Street. Shout out to you, Rio. Awesome stuff right there. All right, let's keep it going. First game of the slate, the Dallas Mavericks taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. 4-point favorites are the Sixers, 228 total. Injuries in this one on the Dallas side. No PJ Washington. Quentin Grimes just got traded. AD will not be playing today. Still without Derek Lively. So relatively thin on the Dallas side. Philly side, a lot of Q tags. Embiid, Eric Gordon, Andre Drummond, Kenyon Martin. They traded Caleb Martin. And then PG is also out. So a lot of injuries to dissect right away. Start Philly side if you can, Rio. Do you have any leans on the Embiids, the Drummonds, the Eric Gordons of the world? Obviously, if multiple of those guys miss, if all 3 of them missed, already without PG, traded Caleb Martin, relatively thin they would be. And then, obviously Mavs with their trades and stuff as well. Both, it looks like an interesting game maybe to start, but tell me if I'm wrong. I'm not actually seeing too much ownership on it.
Yeah, you threw me off with the talking like Yoda out here. Relatively thin they will be tonight.
Yoda, I'm not a big Star Wars guy at all. So
I know you weren't. Injury stuff though. So the Sixers play the Heat tomorrow, which is definitely a game I would imagine they want to be more closer to full strength. So for sure, one of Embiid or Drummond are playing or sitting tonight. As far as Eric Gordon go, I don't know if his injury is real. I think it was more of like a maintenance thing just because he's older and it was playing a ton of minutes. And then KJ Martin, very injured right now, so he seems like more on the doubtful side of things. But yeah, I would think that Embiid sits tonight and plays tomorrow. Just like in terms of playing like an Eastern Conference team, I would imagine you'd want your best players playing tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, I would not be at all surprised if multiple of these guys or all of them sit. And if they do, then I think it's pretty straightforward. Like you're going right back to Maxey and Oubre. They both are going to be playing close to 40 minutes tonight. And then like Ricky Council, Justin Edwards would look really good. Yabusele would look pretty good. He's been playing pretty well over the last couple of games too. But at 6K, he would look pretty solid play, playing like 36 minutes or so. I think was it Kyle Lowry got a downgrade too, or Reggie Jackson? One of those two guys got a downgrade just before we came on here. So yeah, they could be looking really thin tonight. I would think that the guys I'd be looking to the most would be like the value plays. Ricky Council, Justin Edwards, they would just open up a lot of salary, and I think that some of the spends are a little bit better tonight than Tyrese Maxey. But yeah, like the matchup should be fine. Like Dallas is pretty poor right now on defense. Definitely getting Caleb Martin in there should help with their on-ball defense, but right now they're just not looking too good. The rim defense has been pretty bad, so I'd be pretty okay attacking these guys. But if I had to rank it right now, probably just Maxey is going to be the only guy I'm going to be looking to. Kelly Oubre is still okay at 6.7K. But if those guys were to miss, definitely like the Ricky Councils, the Justin Edwards, Oubre, Yabu, Maxey, all those guys I think would be pretty strong options.
Was Lowry too, by the way.
Okay, yeah. So I mean that's kind of big news too, because he's been playing a lot as of late, like 20, 25 minutes around there. So that's kind of big news for tonight. I would imagine those minutes probably just go to Ricky Council if he's out and all those guys are in. But we'll see how it shakes out as we get closer to lock, because I think that this game there could be a lot to like on the Philly side. In terms of Dallas, I think it's just Kyrie and Gafford for me tonight. I don't really even like playing Kyrie just because he rarely shows like a ceiling that you need, especially on a 7-game slate. I think there's a lot better options in that mid 8K range. But now with Caleb Martin out, like the on-ball defense for Philly is pretty bad. I don't know who they're even going to be throwing at him. Probably a lot of Kelly Oubre, which would be, I think, a pretty good matchup for him. But 8.6K is not that cheap. This is probably one of the last times we'll get to play Kyrie at this price tag with no AD. I mean, the price is going to come way down, but the usage is going to go way down as well once they integrate Anthony Davis into the offense. So this might be a good time to jump on. But I don't really love it personally. I do like Gafford tonight, though, if Embiid were to miss. We've seen the Sixers really, really struggle with their rim defense. And he's on an absolute tear right now. He's double-doubles in 5 of his last 7 games, 40-plus DK points in 6 of his last 7. So he's playing really well right now. And he's definitely somebody that's going to be very negatively impacted by Anthony Davis coming into the starting lineup. It sounds like they're going to be putting AD at the 4, Gafford at the 5, and then I don't think that they can or should bring PJ off the bench. So PJ is going to have to play more of that small forward role, which would be, I think, it'd be a pretty solid lineup. But this is probably one of the better times to fire up Gafford if Embiid were to miss. Outside of that, I don't really have too much interest in the secondary guys. Maybe Najee Marshall. He was kind of tracking for a pretty good amount of minutes in that Cleveland game. Obviously, they got blown out, only played 22. He might get up to like 30 tonight, and he'd be okay as a value play. But I don't really want to mess with this team too much. I think it's just Kyrie and Gafford for me.
I'm with you. I'm fine with Kyrie, like the game log wise and stuff. Like he doesn't get there. The Siakam boat, DeRozan, obviously DeRozan in a great spot yesterday did solid. Siakam's had some games, but it doesn't. Fred VanVleet's another one. Like they just don't get the full 60 plus that you want. Today feels different with Kyrie though. It feels like you said one of the last spots he knows, like the huge trade. It's the team is pretty much Kyrie right now. They need him to do a bunch. The individual matchup that you talk about, if it's Oubre, if it's Justin Edwards, isn't really scary. And he's 8,600. He fits that mid-tier build. Again, most builds will be doing that at lack value right now. But like I'd be good with 50 from Kyrie today. Obviously, that'd be a great game from him. But I like Kyrie. I like Gafford. I like Maxey, Oubre. Probably it. Like the Najee, I mean, yeah, maybe I'm obviously a little biased. Naj, 4.6K on a slate without a ton of value. He looks to be getting a little ownership, though. I guess I'd be fine there, but mainly Gafford. Tyrese Maxey's been playing such good ball. I think Tyrese is really strong today, and we're looking at ownership. I mean, maybe it comes up like a point or two, but he's not going to be owned really at all. This whole game in general, not going to get much ownership. Only game at 7 p.m. Eastern as well. All right, let's keep it rolling. Next game on the slates to what Ross says is the best real life and DFS game. Most definitely the best real life game on the slate. Boston Celtics, Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland 1-point favorites, 239 total in this one. Injury report, nothing really on either side. Cleveland still without Wade and Okoro, no injury news on the Boston side. So while it is the highest total, it's a bit closest spread at 1. Two really good teams, not injuries on both sides. So in terms of ownership, looking at the stone, Celtics, everyone but Derek White looking to get some ownership. None of them really over the top though. And Cavs side, not really looking at much ownership as well. Yeah, I mean, I'll throw it to you right away. Not too much ownership, but a great total, great spread. Should be a competitive game. Two of the best teams in the NBA. Is it the studs we're playing on both sides? What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Ross. I think this is a really good game to attack in DFS, and I definitely agree. It's probably the game that you're going to be wanting to watch tonight. Two of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, and two of the better teams in the NBA, I would say. But a really big game I think it's a bigger game for Boston than it is for Cleveland. Boston is obviously I think 4.5, 5 games back from Cleveland in standings right now. So that this win could go a long way. It would still be pretty tough to catch Cleveland, just how good they are. But there's a chance that they could catch them. This will be the 4th time, I believe, that these teams are playing this year, maybe the 3rd time. But we've kind of seen routinely when these two teams face off in particular that both teams really run up their guys for heavier minutes. So in terms of like the matchup stuff and like the just the individual matchups and team defensive style, there's really not too much to pile on. Like both these teams play really good defense. Cavs are the number 1 offense in the new year. The one area of weakness, I guess you could say it's a slight area of weakness, is both teams are allowing a little bit more threes than usual as of late. Cavs are a little bit worse with their on-ball defense with no Okoro and Dean, and then the transition defense a little bit worse as well, whereas Boston is towards the bottom half of the league in pick-and-roll defense. All that stuff I really don't think matters too much. I just think that you're going to want to get pieces in this game because I'm going to be projecting Tatum up to like 40 minutes, Jaylen Brown probably like 38, 39, Porzingis, a little bit tougher to get too many minutes out of him, but I would say 33 to 34 is within the range. And then like Derek White, I think could play a ton tonight as well. In terms of like ranking these guys, obviously I think Tatum is the highest upside play on Boston. He's there was a stretch of games where he was dealing with a knee injury. He wasn't shooting all that well, but then he was awesome in the game against the Sixers where they had the come from behind win. And I think he played the entire second, third, and fourth quarter, just played a ton of minutes. And they have a pretty soft schedule right now. I know this is like a condensed part of the schedule with teams kind of squeezing in games before the All-Star breaks, but I don't think Boston has a back-to-back before the All-Star break. So they have day on, day off, which is pretty good. You can find some rest for some guys in those days. So I think that these guys can play a ton of minutes. I really like Tatum tonight. Evan Mobley on him should make things a little bit tougher, but no, Dean Wade I think is a pretty big boost in his way. And then Jaylen Brown, I think that Tatum is much better from a matchup perspective. Jaylen Brown is the type of guy I want to play against teams like Chicago, teams like the Pacers, where they play really fast. They have weak rim defenses. Transition defenses aren't that great. Cavs are pretty good in pretty much all those areas. So I don't think that I really want to get to Brown, but he's been very consistent in like the 40 range pretty much every game, like the last 5 or 6 games. So he's okay, but I do prefer the upside of Tatum. Porzingis I like. He's going to be able to stretch the floor. Really tough matchup scoring for him around the interior with Jared Allen on him. But from a per-minute standpoint, over the last 3 games, he's been really good, averaging 50.5 DK points per game. Obviously, that was kind of weighted by that huge game against Chicago. But if we get like 34 or 35 from Porzingis, I think that he's underpriced. I like him a lot. And then Derek White and Drew Holiday, I think, are pretty interesting. I think Derek White looks really, really good tonight, 6.1K. The guards are arguably going to have the best matchups for the for the Celtics tonight with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell on them. So they run a lot of like inverted pick and rolls with guards like Derek White to get switches on Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. that can lead to a lot of like those pick and pop situations where we see a really big uptick in volume from 3-point perspective. And we saw like 10 attempts from Chicago against Chicago and Dallas, still taking a ton of threes and still, he's shooting pretty efficiently. So if we run into a hot shooting Derek White game, I think 6.1K is a really good tag for him. So I kind of like him right behind Jason Tatum and Porzingis, I would say. And then Drew mentioned the last time we were on the show, you want to play him in games that are meaningful. And this is definitely one that I think is very meaningful. They could tighten up the rotation, less minutes for guys like Pritchard and Al Horford. It was also worth noting Al Horford only played 11 minutes against Sixers. The reasoning behind it, Joe Mazzulla said that the Sixers were running a lot of zone defense, and Al is just not very good at beating zone. So they went to more Luke Cornett. So something to keep an eye on because I think Cleveland does run a good amount of zone defense. As far as the Cleveland side goes, it's a much easier side to break down. You playing probably max 2 of the top 4 guys. I really don't like the spot for Jared Allen. I'll just start with him off top because Kristaps is going to pull him away from the paint a lot. His minutes have been cut down in a pretty big way in every meeting that these teams have faced off. I think he topped out like 32, but got 28 in the first game, whereas the other guys like Donovan Mitchell, Mobley, and Garland all played a lot more than usual. Donovan Mitchell in particular, he played 40 in the first meeting and then I think 35 in the next one, so averaging right around 37 and a half. But yeah, he should be well rested. These guys have not played a lot of minutes after the huge win over Dallas, so think we could get like 35, 36 from Mitchell, probably like 34 from Mobley, 34 from Garland. I think that those guys all look really good. I do like Donovan Mitchell the best though, because he's done really well against Boston in his career. He likes playing against them. So I think this is a good spot for Mitchell, but I do like Garland a lot too. It's like 1K cheaper. I'd probably max one of those 2 guys, but maybe just max 2 of Mitchell, Mobley, and Garland and just keep those 3 in the player pool. And then LeVert and Strus going to have to play a lot if the game does go smaller, if Jared Allen gets run off the floor. Kind of same thing for George Niang. I think those guys are all in play as values. Probably prefer LeVert the most because I think he's got the most upside. But I'm okay with all those guys. I don't think that this is a spot where I'd be messing with like Ty Jerome or like Sam Merrill or anything like that.
Definitely a great breakdown. I wanted to pull up one comment. So you kind of answered it. You said max 2 of the Mitchell, Garland, Allen, Mobley stuff. I take it you're max 1 Tatum Brown on this slate. And then any thoughts? Well, answer that first.
Yeah. I'm normally max 1 anytime the slate is like bigger than 5 or something for Boston guy or just for Tatum and Brown.
Makes sense. Would you have any? I know you play a lot of 150 and stuff. Making hard rules like min 1 in this game feels a little out there in a 7-game slate for that many teams. But just say you were playing like 10 teams or less. Any thoughts on like doing a min 1? I mean, there's plenty of studs to pick from, and it's not a game I'm looking to overstack really because a lot of these price tags are big on the guys you want. But at least getting exposure to one person in this game feels pretty strong to me. Any thoughts on that? Like how many teams, if you would make that rule period, and how many teams you'd be playing like max that you would make that rule?
I mean, so I personally wouldn't. I just give like a little insight into like the process that goes behind building lamps for me, but that's not something I really want to do because you can really limit yourself in terms of like I'd be okay if I got 100% of them, but I don't want to like go out of my way to do it. The way that I do it is, or that I would do it for tonight, example, like I think that these guys are play more minutes, so I'm going to bump up their minutes, and then whatever point per minute they get. If I have Donovan Mitchell at like 36 minutes and I'm getting like 60% of him, I'd be okay with that rather than like building lineups with like whatever their projection is, and then those lineups probably not looking too good just because you're forcing rules like that. So I would just be bumping up these guys. You could do it, just add a couple more points to them, or just do it from like points per minute standpoint, give them a few more.
Makes a lot of sense. And if you like bumping minutes to like all the starters pretty much will result in probably getting at least one Celtic or Cav in almost every team you do play naturally. Again, ownership's so much lower anyway on these big-time games that you do, like the ESPN games stuff, the longer timeouts. When you do think they have a minutes bump, like you project Porzingis for 34, 35 minutes today or D-Mitch for 40, that projection is going to look a lot different than we have now with projections. They're not taking into account like on a game-to-game basis if there's going to have a 3-minute uptick, a 4-minute uptick, etc. That's more based on the season average and usage, and you can get a big edge doing stuff like that. So I love that call out, Rio. So just naturally me thinking that you like on both sides, I will probably have a good amount of Celtics and Cavs, or at least one of them on a decent amount of teams, just because, again, projections are not accounting for the couple more minute uptick that's expected in this game. All right, let's keep it rolling. Next game on the slates, Houston Rockets taking on the Brooklyn Nets. 2-12 total, 9.5-point favorites are the Rockets. Injuries in this one, no Fred VanVleet again. Tari Eason, who was out yesterday, was in yesterday. Sengun was out. He had a great game. Now Tari Eason is out today. Jock Landale questionable. That side, no Ben Simmons, and that is the only injury news to really worry about. So it's pretty interesting. You look at this game on the Stone, the highest owned, a bench player, Cam Whitmore, about 24%. You go to the net side, Zaire Williams, Keon Johnson we have for the two highest, 5K, 4,600, Cam Whitmore, 3,600. That just shows like there really isn't too much value. And when there is, some people are coming to this game for value, other games for spend ups. I will say, man, it's a big boy price tag, but this dude, Amen Thompson's a hooper. Very fun to watch that Knicks Rockets game yesterday. Yeah, that man can hoop. I will say Cam Whitmore can hoop too. He is fun to watch. My guy Jayshawn Tate, he got a little more action. He played decent, Rio. He wasn't a complete black hole, but yeah, break down this game in DFS. Doesn't look like much ownership outside of some of the value pieces.
Yeah, 6 assists for your guy Jayshawn Tate. That's what he needs to be doing. I always thought that like when he was actually playing meaningful minutes, like he did a lot of everything. It's just on this team, it just kind of disrupts the flow of the offense. So if he can get involved as a passer, I think he could be a pretty valuable piece for the team. But just you got to pass it. You got to know that all these guys are better than you. Got to pass it. Yeah, I mean this is a game that the Rockets are definitely going to want to win because I think this team faced off last week and the Nets actually beat them. So it is a back-to-back for Houston. Obviously playing the Knicks last night, losing that game there. Shout out to Wardo. But yeah, I mean these guys are playing a ton of minutes right now. They're going to have to play a ton of minutes again here. They're just very, very thin. Don't really want to go too deep in their bench. We did get the news that Sengun will be back tonight to kind of make it a little bit harder to get to these high-end guys. Like I don't really think that I want to get up to very much of like the Jalen Green, Sengun, Thompson range of players. I would say that Thompson is probably the best because I think that the things that he does well are the things that Brooklyn does poorly, which is bad rim defense and bad transition defense. But he's just a point per minute stud with Sengun off the court. You add him to the mix, definitely can take away a little bit of rebounding upside. I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent what to do with him because he did get the start at point guard, which is really good with no Fred VanVleet. So he should be able to like flirt with that triple double on a nightly basis. I think the scoring should come pretty easy here for the Rockets. So that should lead to a lot of potential assists and a lot of scoring for him. But the rebounding might take a little bit of a negative turn with Sengun in the lineup. But I'd be okay with him at 8.5K. I think that's a reasonable tag. Obviously, it's showing he could still hit massive ceiling games sharing the court with Sengun. So I'd be okay with him.
Him or Kyrie, obviously different positions, but pretty similar price tags.
Yeah, I mean, I would take Amen Thompson all day because I know that he has that 60-point in him. I just don't know if Kyrie does. I was going to stop myself from saying that because he's probably going to do it tonight. But
what about Sengun or Kyrie too?
See, there I would probably go with Kyrie. Sengun coming off the calf injury, he's probably pretty excited about being an all-star. So I don't think he wants to get injured before that. So I could see those minutes being. I don't know if he's going to touch 30 tonight. Maybe he is. Maybe he's fully healthy, but I would think that they're more cautious with him. Where I think that Kyrie's going to play like 38 tonight. In terms of the secondary plays, though, I think Dylan Brooks is okay. 4.6K. You know what you're getting out of him. Can hit for a big game and just randomly. I'd probably just take the savings down to Cam Whitmore because it's kind of you're getting a similar 4-ceiling combo there. And if the game blows out, Whitmore would be the guy that's on the court. They're probably going to have Whitmore, probably Tate, and then like I think Reed Shepherd is still available. I don't know if he's in the G League or not, but probably him. Those guys will be out there running the court in the fourth quarter if this is a big blowout. So I'd be okay with Whitmore. I'd be okay with Jayshawn Tate, but none of these guys really stand out as great plays in my opinion with Sengun back. I was very interested in them if both Sengun and Easton were to miss. I was expecting Easton to miss, but also was hoping that that Sengun were to miss. But now that he's in, a little bit less excited about the Houston side. The Brooklyn side, kind of the same thing. Like I just don't think this is a good matchup for D'Angelo Russell. Like mentioned it yesterday in the slate plan with Jalen Brunson. The pick and roll handling defense for the Rockets has been really bad as of late. Even with Amen Thompson in the lineup, they're allowing the second most in pick and roll handler points. And D'Lo is a very good pick and roll scorer. So if he gets above 30 minutes tonight, he could definitely hit in a big way, just like we saw Brunson do last night. But they're just kind of capping him at like 28 minutes. I just don't think they want to really go too much above that. But if you run into a hot shooting night, I still think he's viable in 28 minutes. Don't really want to play Claxton. And then I kind of agree with ownership on Keon Johnson and Zaire Williams. These guys are just playing a lot of minutes. Keon Johnson actually has a little bit of talent. He's top 33 DK points in 4 of his last 5 games. Provides a pretty solid floor with the peripheral stats. Rockets defense hasn't been that great as of late either, so he looks pretty good. And then Zaire is just playing a ton of minutes, 33 and 37 in his last 2 games. Probably going to continue to see that many here with those back-end rotation guys like Tosan and Reese Beekman not really being long-term solutions for Brooklyn. I think that Keon and Zaire are probably the best options on Brooklyn.
Did you mention Jay Sean? Did I miss it? 3,100?
I just think I don't really have a take on him. I think that he's solid, but he's not going to be starting. At least I don't think he will be. I don't. He is projected to start. So I mean, if he's starting again, yeah, for sure. I think that he's awesome. Just in terms of the slate, because I don't think he's ever a great value play. But on this slate where there's really nothing.
When Cam Whitmore is getting, Cam Whitmore is one of the higher owned guys we're seeing. We're talking Zaire and Keon, who 1,500 more getting ownership as value. It's just relative to this slate and who we're comparing down there. Even if he was off the bench, I guess if he was off the bench, are you still confident he's getting 18, 19 minutes? Because if so, I still think he's in play at 3,100.
Yeah, he should still be out there regardless. I don't think that they I don't know who they would even start over him. I mean, maybe they start Cam Whitmore tonight.
Yeah, that was the only one I could have thought of.
Yeah,
because that's not that big, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, they could do that, but I don't know if they will. I think they like Whitmore off the bench. Yeah, sorry, I'm okay with Tate.
People keep talking about Amin on the back-to-back. I feel like you were the last time you only played those 14 minutes. I feel like you talked about it where Adoko said they just didn't have energy or they needed energy, and Amin felt flat. A couple of those guys, and it was more so just the energy level. Adoko saw something. It wasn't more so they were scared about the 21-year-old on a back-to-back, right?
Yeah, it was Kai Bush in the Discord.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Is it Matt? Is that Kai Bush?
Yeah,
I think that's him.
You're saying it's Matt. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's him. I think his name is Matt. But regardless, he's a Rockets fan. He said that he watched the post-game press conference and said that they just came out flat. It didn't really have anything to do with the back-to-back. It's just that the guys in the starting lineup were not playing well, so they went to the bench unit a little bit more. I don't think that it's I can look real quick if you want to talk just to see what his back-to-back stuff is, but I don't think that. Oh yeah, it is Matt. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't think that it was. I think it's just a one-game thing.
All right, and I gotta correct myself. He is no longer 21. His birthday was 5 days ago, at January 30th. So the 22-year-old Amin Thompson. I mean, yeah, I'd be shocked if the back-to-backs were a thing for him at this age. And I mean, he definitely has fine cardio. He definitely likes playing a lot of minutes, but I definitely revert to you on stuff like that. So
yeah, he played. Before that Houston Atlanta game, he played 4 back-to-backs since becoming a starter. So since November, he played 35, 40, 38, 39, 41. So it was just a one-game thing. It's nothing
cool
to look too deep into.
Hey, now you learn something every day. Appreciate that, Kai Bush. All right, let's keep it going. Next game on the slate. This game also the last of 3 that lock at 7:30 Eastern. Yeah, shout out Wardo. You mentioned D'Lo as no Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson put his team on his back yesterday. What an awesome performance. That was a great game. I watched almost all that game. That was really, really good basketball back and forth. Brunson, very, very clutch. Those Nova dudes know how to play, no doubt about that. Keep it going. New York Knicks, Toronto Raptors, 228 total. The Knicks, 5.5-point favorites. Injuries in this one. The Toronto side, no RJ Barrett. Bruce Brown and Chris Boucher are questionable. Knicks side, no OG Anunoby. That is it there. I'm going to throw it to you actually right away on this, but my question to you, I think it's a really good game for DFS on both sides, multiple pieces in play. Mitch Rob, I didn't think you probably didn't expect me to bring that up. I think he's if the Lakers got him, I think that'd be a phenomenal signing. I think Mitch Rob is a lot better than the public gives him credit for. He knows his role, good shot blocker, the pick and roll, plays above the rim. What are your thoughts on him? Do you think it's Lakers? Do you think it's possibly somewhere else? And then obviously that means nothing for today, but then talk about this game.
Yeah, I think he'd be a good fit there. I think it's definitely, I don't know like what other team is like requires his type of game. Lakers for sure do. There's not a lot of teams that really like that need a center like that besides the Lakers. So I think it makes a lot of sense. I would kind of like to see Claxton on the Lakers, to be honest. I think that him and Luka
they're so similar.
Really well,
right? Don't you think Mitch Rob and Claxton are pretty similar?
I don't know.
He's what I thought of.
Claxton's got a little bit more of an offensive game. Like Mitch Rob is just a lob threat, which is really good. Like obviously lively, kind of similar to Mitch Rob in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch Rob definitely a much better defender than Claxton, I would say. But I think that Claxton just being younger, actually I don't even know if he's younger, but he's a little bit more durable and just a little bit more like able to get up and down the court. Like I just think that his game would work really, really well with Luka. I don't know how Mitch Rob would fit in. Probably be fine just because Luka's such a good passer. But
I think Miles Turner would be cool too.
Oh yeah, that's like the ideal situation.
Yeah, but I mean, you're giving up more for Miles Turner than you are Mitch Rob. Wardo stroking, and he loves his Knicks. He's like, wow, they need a backup big to play a good 12 minutes for him.
And they got Jericho Sims. What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. All right, yeah. Well, what about for today? I think it's a really good one for DFS.
Yeah, for sure. The Toronto side, so RJ Barrett going to be out tonight with a concussion. Bruce Brown is also questionable. So if they miss, or if Bruce Brown misses, they're going to be very, very thin on the wings. I would imagine Ochai Agbaji is going to get the start regardless for RJ Barrett. But, see a little bit more usage go to guys like Pirtle, like Barnes, like Quickly. I'll talk about those guys in a second. And then the OG Anunoby out tag. Wardo seems to think it's a lot worse than they're leading on. I wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, it was a non-contact injury, so that's always worrisome. Obviously, it wasn't an Achilles, so it's probably, I don't know, he could have broke something in his foot. Like those bones in your feet are very, very fragile. But I don't know. I'm definitely not a doctor, so I don't want to speculate. But yeah, we saw Precious get the start for him last time out. Also, I mean, damn, bro, like how Underdog is struggling this year with this lineups reporting. I mean, they had Deuce projected to start Precious. Like. Yeah, and then like I saw, I think it was Kid Lightning posted in the Discord that the Josh guy from Basketball Monsters said that it was Precious starting. I just don't know how there's so many conflicting reports. Like Underdog can't get lineups for the Utah Jazz this season. It's just been a rough go for them. But definitely got to keep an eye on that because we're not certain that it's going to be Precious starting tonight. Like it very well could be Miles McBride. I think Precious makes the most sense just with all the size that the Raptors have with Scotty Barnes and Jakob Poeltl out there. But either way, those two guys are obviously the biggest beneficiaries from no OG Anunoby. From the Knicks side, though, I guess I'm going to start with the Raptors defense really quick because they've quietly been one of the best defenses in the league over the past 7 games. They're first in defensive rating over that span. The rim defense has been really good. 3-point defense has been really good. Not really. They're still allowing good amount of transition scoring on the season, slightly worse in pick and roll, but they've been playing really, really well on defense over the last 2 weeks or so. Knicks, same thing. Like it's the same stuff for the Knicks. They're getting killed in pick and roll scoring the season, ranked dead last in that category. So you always want to fire up guards against the Knicks. In terms of plays on the Knicks side, I think it's a really, really good spot for Cat. Looked a little bit more like himself last night. Went 9 for 20 from the field. Fell 1 rebound shy of the double-double. And even with the Raptors getting better on the defensive end, I don't think that's because of Jakob Poeltl, even how good the rim defense has been. We know who Poeltl is at this point in his career. We've been attacking him since he was on the Spurs. I think this is his second stint with Toronto, right? Like I think we even wanted to, play guys against him when he was on Toronto. He's just not a good rim protector. It's just not his game. Cat is the type of guy that beats up on defenders like Jakob Poeltl. He's averaging 58.8 DK points per game in 3 matchup versus the Raptors this season. So 9.4K, really, really good price tag for Cat. I like him a lot tonight. With Quickly in the starting lineup, we should expect the on-ball defense for the Raptors to get a lot worse as well. So it should be a good spot for Brunson coming off of a huge game last night out, 42-10 to put the team on his back and get the win. Good price tag for Brunson as well. Like him a lot. I do slightly prefer Cat. I think that the upside is a little bit better when the prices are this close together. But I have no issues with Brunson either. He looks really good. Josh Hart, always triple-double threat when he gets on the court. Raptors being a below-average rim defense and transition defense is the kind of spots you want to play a guy like Josh Hart. And then with no OG, a little bit more rebounding upside to him. So I think sub 8K is a good price tag for Josh Hart. Same thing for Bridges, starting to play more minutes as of late because he's going to get a lot more of those defensive assignments against the best players in the other team. So should see him get back up to like that 38, 39-minute range, which he did last night. And then Precious starting, okay, probably prefer just getting, saving 2K on Miles McBride, who I know is going to play a good bit tonight, but I don't have an issue with Precious. And then not really messing with the secondary pieces on the Knicks. On the Raptors side, this is very interesting because Emmanuel quickly coming back from the injury. I think this is his third game back since returning from the injury. Been very, very limited, not playing more than like 15 minutes in a game. But from like a point per minute and usage standpoint, in a small sample, he's been just like really good from a point per minute stuff. 1.47 fantasy points per minute, leads the team in usage with RJ off the court this season. If there's any sort of chance that we get like 30 minutes from quickly tonight, the like 3 to 4 game range after returning from injury is right around the time they really start to ramp up the minutes, then he could look really good at 5.7K. That's a really good price tag for him. So I'm kind of I'll bump him up to like 24, 25 minutes and see what I get from a projection standpoint. But yeah, he looks
I feel like he'll
very
project
interesting.
I think he'll project pretty well at that number. I doubt us or the industry is probably 15 minutes, then 17. I'd be shocked if any of us or the industry has him projected for 24, 25.
Yeah, it's tough too. Like you don't really know. I have to look back at like some of the injury history with the Raptors and see how long it takes them to ramp up guys. But like Bruce Brown was pretty limited and then like out of nowhere just spiked for a ton of minutes. So I mean, maybe they do that tonight quickly against his old team. So we'll see. But yeah, I think that Barrett or Scotty Barnes and Jakob Poeltl both look really good here. 9K for Barnes, I think, is a good price tag for a guy that's like a pretty close to a lock for a double-double and has the triple-double upside. He's averaging 27.4 assist percentage, 14% rebounding rate, second on the team in usage with RJ off the court this season. Pretty modest, 1.3 fantasy points per minute. And then no OG on the other side. Should be a lot softer of a matchup for him. So I like Scotty at 9K. And then Poeltl, a lot of downside risk for him here, just with the way that he's going to be defending Cat, so that brings a ton of foul risk. But he's been consistently in like that mid to low 30-minute range. And he's always been a really solid point per minute producer. So I'd be okay with Poeltl. Definitely wouldn't want to play him with Cat. And then Grady Dick at 4K should play a lot of minutes now that RJ Barrett is out. Should have a lot more offensive workload. Right around 1 fantasy points per minute with RJ off the court this season. So he's going to project pretty good. And then Oshai, I don't know. He's 3.4K. He's going to be starting and playing a good amount of minutes, but just a low usage guy. And he could really sink your lineups if he's not doing anything, which he really doesn't do much. So kind of would be more okay getting away from Oshai. But I have to see what he's projected for from like a minute standpoint, because like 28 to 30, that's going to be really tough to get away from.
Him or Jayshawn Tate?
I think I would go Oshai if Tate is not starting.
And Tate if he is starting? Yeah,
probably Tate if he is starting. It's close, though.
I think Cat is super, super strong, but I do think Brunson, I hate using the word really leverage in NBA. Like, both guys can clearly get there. It's 24-second shot clock. It's up and down game, etc. But, like, if Cat doesn't have a ceiling outcome, maybe more likely Brunson is too, and he's definitely going to be a decent amount lower owned. I've always been Cat all year, though. Like, every time we're on the show, he just feels this floor-ceiling combo, and we really only care about the ceiling part, just feels so – I don't want to say so much higher since we've seen Brunson 65, 68, 2 of the past 3 games. But other than that, a lot more 40s, 30s, et cetera, than Cat. So I do prefer him. I do think ownership follows. Yeah, Deuce McBride, even if he is – you almost, I think, want him off the bench for ownership-wise, hey? If he starts, I feel like he'll probably be one of the more chalky options. Him, Cam Whitmore, more than likely. And, I mean, Deuce can still – I saw Wardo. He does think it'll be Deuce starting. Which I guess
why though? Like, I don't know why they would. Last night seemed like the time to start him when they were going against a smaller team. Now they're going up against Scotty Barnes and Poeltl.
With Abaji, yeah, but Cat with Jakob Poeltl, Abaji isn't like, he's not that big. And Scotty Barnes, don't you think it's already going to be Mikal Bridges matching up there? Like, you could go Deuce on Grady Dick. Then you go hard on like Brunson can go quickly-ish. Hart can go Abaji. I mean, Hart doesn't even need to go there. They might even hide Brunson more or hide Deuce more. You don't think so? You think it'll be Precious?
I think it's gonna be Precious. I feel like they put Precious on Scotty and then just match everybody else up like that, like Bridges on Quickly for the minutes that Quickly is out there that's what I would think at least. But yeah, we'll see.
It's a 7:30 game, so we should get it relatively close. I mean, you never know. We got the wrong starting lineup yesterday, but I do think McBride might even be better because of ownership if he is off the bench. Precious, now on the other hand, I would not like him off the bench. I would only really have interest if he was starting, and he does have power forward eligibility, which is nice.
Yeah, too expensive coming off the bench at 5.7K.
Yep, I agree. All right. We touched on Quickly. It's about the minutes. If you think he can get you 25 plus minutes, I think he's a pretty strong play. His third game back, he went 15 and 17 minutes, and he has a real price tag at 5.7. So, I mean, he's going to be really low owned, as you see right here. So you're playing multiple teams. You want to take a shot or two, I think it's fine. If I was building one team, it'd be pretty hard for me to make that click. But the range of outcomes are really wide, and is what you want in tournaments at the end of the day. All right, let's keep it rolling. We have 3 games left, and this is one of the best game environments, as most Chicago Bulls games are, that I think Clippers, Lakers will be very low owned, and then Pacers, Trailblazers, a lot of guesswork with injuries. Miles Turner questionable, which can be good. And Aaron Nesmith, I don't know if you saw, got a midday downgrade when we were on the show too. So this is the game I think does get a lot of ownership. The next 2, we have a 2-hour gap. Maybe not so much. Miami Heat taking on the Chicago Bulls, 228.5 total. Miami 3.5-point favorites. No real injury news on the Chicago side, like Jalen Smith, questionable. Really nothing to worry about on the Chicago side. Pretty much same thing with Miami. I hope Jimmy Butler gets shipped one of these days. How he's saying no to certain teams and that are contenders, if that rumor's true, feels absolutely crazy to me. If you want to talk about anything there, you can. But what stands out to me in terms of ownership, Bam a good amount. Ware, Rozier, talk about another gambling thing, absolutely crazy. I mean, Kobe White, Giddey, like all these guys. If there was a chalk game on the slate, I think it would be this one. A plethora of guys available in this one. I know you're not setting the rules. Do you see yourself really having teams without one person in this game? It doesn't really break the bank too much. A lot of good mid-tier options on a slate where we don't love value, and there's only one spend above 10K anyway. So naturally, I think you fall in this game a lot.
Yeah, for sure. This is another game, just like the Boston, the Cleveland one, where I would imagine a bulk of my rosters are going to have at least one guy from each side in this game. Like I said, not setting a rule like that. It's just the way that it's going to shake out with both teams playing pretty tight from a rotational standpoint and the matchup being pretty good just with the Chicago Bulls bringing the pace. In terms of like the Jimmy stuff, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just got a bad taste in my mouth with all the stuff going on behind the scenes there. I don't really know what's going on, but obviously the Suns are the only team that he wants to play for. I've been seeing like 5-team mock trades with like KD going to the Bucks or like going to the Warriors.
Please give him the Bucks.
That would be insane.
Screw a Kuzma, Levine. That's not a needle breaker. Me need someone like KD. That would be awesome.
Yeah, there's going to be. I don't know. Maybe nothing happens. I really hope something happens because I think it'd be fun just to see KD playing for the Bucks or playing for Golden State. Anything like that. Just cool too. Big move. I want to see something big happen, but I would imagine they get a deal done pretty soon. But I mean, it's gonna be tough because Bradley Beal, the ball is in his court. Like he's got the no trade clause, and he said he doesn't want to uproot his family from Phoenix. So that, I mean, if that's the case, they're gonna be stuck with Beal and his awful contract, and then Jimmy Butler probably won't play a game for Miami for the rest of the season unless he changes his mind. But yeah, in terms of this game, though, the Miami side looks really good. Always like to attack the Bulls, and it definitely starts with the guys up top, Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. Really good spot for both of them. Bulls are bottom 3 in DVP versus point guards. And just like stylistically, the way that Hero plays, very much pick and roll heavy. The Bulls are bottom 5 in pick and roll defense this season. Hero's averaging 7 points per game in the pick and roll. So really good matchup for the newly minted all-star Tyler Hero. Like him a ton. Really good price tag for him. 8.4K, I think, is very reasonable to get upside from him. And then Bam, shifting to the power forward position, has done wonders for him from a usage standpoint. coming off of a career night against San Antonio where he hit the game-winning shot, put up nearly 70 DK points there. Eric Spoelstra talking a lot about wanting to run the offense through him. And since Ware has become a starter, he's second on the team in usage, third in assist percentage, and second in touch time. So he's definitely lived up to the Spoelstra coach speak, and I think this is a really good spot for him to go ham against a weak rim defense like Chicago. So love Bam tonight, probably one of the best plays on the slate in my eyes. And Nickeil Ware, I think, is very solid, 6.1K. Love to attack the Bulls and Vucevic with opposing bigs. He gives up huge lines on a nightly basis, and Ware is the type of guy that could give him fits. Like we saw Duren have a really solid game against Vooch last time out. Obviously, Ware is not like the same physical specimen that Duren is, but he's freaky athletic, and he's got the floor spacing capability. Chicago bottom 4 in DVP versus centers this season, so I like Ware a ton. And then even Jovic and Rozier, I think, are really strong plays. Jovic has had a pretty solid role coming off the bench since Butler has been suspended. The fast-paced nature of this game should really play well into his playmaking style. So I think it's an interesting spot to get some exposure to Nikola Jovic. He's going to get some ownership. I like being max 2 of Jovic, Ware, and Bam. They did run a little bit of overlap for a couple games, but since then they're not really running a ton of overlap between those 3 guys. So I probably want to be max 2 of those 3. And then Rozier been really good last couple games coming off the bench. Since the gambling accusations, telling everybody bet his overs, he's been doing really well. But all jokes aside, he's had a really, really solid role coming off the bench, third in touch time over the past 7 games, while maintaining a pretty solid 21% usage rate and a really good matchup for guards against the Bulls. So both Miami guards look really good, and then the bigs look really, really good for Miami. On the Chicago side, yeah, I think there's some hidden upside here too. Vooch, 8.2K, another guy that's on the trade market, but he's coming off of one of his best games of the year with the triple-double, 60 DK point game against Detroit. Tougher matchup for him with the Heat being really solid with the rim defense, but he's been really efficient as a three-point shooter this season. And if his touches and usage hold up moving forward with Levine out of the picture, he could be a pretty viable option pretty much every night of the week, regardless of matchup, as long as he's in like this low 8K range. So I don't mind him. I really like the spot for Giddey, though. He seems like he's got the runway for really heavy minutes right now, moving forward, at least until Kevin Huerter is set to make his debut. And with THT out, that's kind of sneaky good for Giddey because we've seen THT kind of eat into those wing minutes a little bit more. And then Giddey played 36 minutes last night. And we know the type of upside that Giddey possesses with the triple-double upside. And with Levine out of the picture, he's a 1.18 fantasy point per minute producer with a massive 35% assist percentage. So I think that 6.9K for Giddey, really solid. 6.4K for Kobe White. He probably has the best matchup from a just like stylistic standpoint. Like the Heat, play a lot of zone, give up a lot of three-pointers. That's definitely Kobe White's game. Hasn't played less than 31 minutes in a game since returning from injury. So it looks like he's pretty much fully healthy. Io is interesting because they're giving him a ton of minutes as well. They like his defense on the court. Just not really getting there from like a ceiling standpoint. But got to have a little bit of interest just because he's playing a ton of minutes. And then Lonzo being cleared for 28 minutes a night makes him a lot more valuable. Probably just want to be max 2 of like the Giddey, White, Io, Lonzo range because I kind of view all those guys as guards. They all kind of do the same thing that they need. Like they need the ball to get upside. Vooch, I think, is fine playing alone. Definitely don't want to play him with Jalen Smith. And then Matas Buzelis has been playing a lot more minutes off the bench. Obviously, a guy they have a lot of draft capital invested into. No THT should give him a little bit better of a minutes floor, but probably don't need to go there on the slate.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that guy. I mean, with value not being great, and a lot of it feels like around like the Cam Whitmores of the world, Zaire's getting some. I don't think he's the craziest pivot at like a complete different position, power forward. 2 questions for you. Did you talk about Duncan Robinson at all? The minutes are starting to tick upwards, and anytime that's like you give me 30 minutes of Duncan Robinson at very moderate ownership and a moderate price tag, he can always drop 7 threes in your mouth. Any thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, pretty sharp pivot off of Rozier, who's going to be like 4 times as high owned. So, yeah, I think that's a smart play for sure. He's probable or questionable?
No, he's probable. I'm seeing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's still playing. They've really tightened up the rotation. They're running basically like 8.5 guys. So, yeah, I'd be okay as him like a pivot off of Rozier. I think that makes a lot of sense.
And then if you're playing 3 Heat 4 Heat even. Tell me if you think 4 is too much. Would you be inclined to like force a run back? Or are you fine playing with like Giddey's price tag up there, Vooch is up there a little bit? Would you be fine playing the Hero, Duncan, Bam with no Bulls?
I think normally on like this type of slate, probably want to be correlating pieces when it comes to like playing 3 guys from a team, and that makes it really, really easy with the prices in this game. So if I have 3 Heat, definitely want one of those main Chicago guys I talked about, preferably the White, Giddey, Vooch range.
This feels a little too much for me. Like I'd prefer 3 Heat than 3 Bulls. What are your thoughts on that though? You said you liked all of them, and you said max 2 Giddey, White, Lonzo, Io. So like you wouldn't have grouped it away, but I don't know. It feels a little much for me. I'd much rather go at least the 3 Heat side, which feels like a more condensed rotation. But are you fine with it?
Yeah, I'd be fine with it. I don't love it, but I'm okay with it. I agree with you. I think that the 3 Heat feels a little bit better. Probably feels a lot more comfortable getting to 2 Chicago pieces than 3.
That's my thoughts, but he did say it's fine. And last thing, Giddey, he put 46.5 DK points last game, so most definitely can get you 50. Obviously, if we thought he was going to get 50, I'd be playing him in every single lineup, but he has shown the upside for 50. All right, let's keep it rolling, Rio. 2 games left on the slate. Not much interest in this one for me. Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Los Angeles Clippers. We have a 8-point favorites are the Clippers, 221 total. Injuries for the Lakers side. Cam Reddish is doubtful. That's it. Obviously, AD is gone. Luka will not be playing. It sounds like Saturday, maybe. I cannot wait for that debut. Yeah. Clipper side, no injury news there as well. Looking at ownership in this game, Rio, 1 guy, actually 2, Dalton Knecht, Rui in double digits, Norm Powell, James Harden in double digits, but probably the lowest cumulative ownership game on the slate. Again, this is 2 hours after the other ones. We do have one other game, Indy Portland, and like Turner's questionable. I'm expecting if I did have a lean, he'd be missing. Aaron Nesmith midday downgrade, also not great. Maybe if you're playing like those guys are out and they're in, maybe you like can pivot to this game a little bit. I don't know. Not a game by any means I love too much, but no AD. So start Lakers side. What does that do for tonight?
Yeah, I mean I agree with you. I don't think I want to get to too much in this game. Just a low game total. Obviously, no Anthony Davis, no Max Christie is going to open up a ton of minutes we've already seen Anthony Davis out for a handful of games, so we know what to expect there. Hasn't really provided too much ceiling from Jackson Hayes. Had a pretty good game against the Wizards, but in general, just a really low per minute guy. I think it's just LeBron or bust for me on the Lakers tonight. 10.8K is expensive, but this is a fairly important game with the Lakers being 5th in the West right now and the Clippers being 6th, I believe. So definitely a game each side would want to win, which could lead to more minutes. Is this the second nationally televised game? I think it might be. It would make sense if it is.
I assume so.
Yeah, so obviously longer. Yeah, if it is, then it's longer timeouts, so it leads to more minutes. Like we said, 10.8K is expensive for LeBron, but he's doing everything for this team. He's going to have to do everything for this team right now as long as Luka is ready to suit up. Which seems like it's going to be sooner than later. But tough matchup with Kawhi getting healthy on the other side. There's a lot of – it's like a neutral move with like you consider how much usage he's going to dominate. He has a 39% usage rate, 43% assist percentage, 13% rebound rate. So just crazy numbers with all the injury situations that the Lakers are dealing with and the trade stuff. But the matchup versus Kawhi is going to be very tough. But if they get the win, it's going to be because of LeBron, I would imagine. 8.5K, way too expensive for Austin Reeves. That's going to be coming way, way down as Luka kind of gets integrated into the offense a little bit more. So don't want to play 8.5K for Reeves, even with all the trade and injury stuff Lakers have right now. I guess Rui is okay. He's playing better, playing a lot of minutes. 5.1K is a pretty good price tag for him. I don't really have much to add there. It's not nothing about the matchup really stands out in terms of what he does well. Not playing Jackson Hayes on this type of slate. I'd be okay with like DFS, Connect, and Vincent, probably max one of those guys because one of those guys is going to benefit in a pretty big way from the Max Christie trade. I would imagine that it's Gabe Vincent, just they need that on-ball defense for guards. And they are, if anything, if they have depth anywhere, it's probably at the 3 to 4 spot with DFS, Rui, and Vanderbilt and Connect there. So I would imagine Gabe Vincent is the guy that probably sees the most the biggest boost in minutes. I don't know if it's really worth it going to it on this slate, but the point guard, shooting guard eligibility is nice to have. You just don't really ever expect much from Gabe Vincent while sharing the court with LeBron. So, yeah, not too excited about the Lakers side. The Clippers side, a little bit more excited about. 9.2K for James Harden is pretty solid. Usage just held up nicely with Kawhi and Norm Powell in there, playing a ton of minutes as well. And guards have beaten the Lakers all year long, so should be a decent spot for James Harden. Played 37 minutes in 4 straight games and showed a pretty solid floor ceiling combo. Bottomed out at 36 DK points, which we definitely would not want, but he did have a 63-pointer mixed in there, so good price and matchup for Harden. Zubac against Jackson Hayes, I think, is a spot I want to take advantage of. Played 40 minutes last game against the Raptors, so we know that he's capable of that, and he's going to have a massive just talent and size advantage over Jackson Hayes. Should be a lock for double-double. And over the last 5 games or so, the Lakers have been getting beat up around the basket, so really big upside for Zubac here at 7.4K. I like him a lot. I like Kawhi too. I'm going to continue to play him and just kind of make him a thing until he hits in a big way. I think that if there were ever a spot for him to see the most minutes he has all season long, it's probably this game against LeBron, against the Lakers, who are right above them in the Western Conference standings. And on the other side, he's going to be matched up with LeBron. So, LeBron's not the best defender at this point of his career, so I think this could be a pretty big spot for Kawhi at 7K. I think he's very much in play. And same for Norm Powell. The Lakers have been taking away 3-point shooters as of late, but he's doing a little bit of everything. The drives are way up, the touch time's way up. He seems like a very solid floor play, but on a 7-game slate, I don't know how necessary he's going to be on this slate. I think we need a little bit more ceiling, but I'd be okay with him. And the last guy I mentioned, Derek Jones Jr., playing a lot of minutes right now, going to need his defense out there for the minutes against LeBron when Kawhi is not out there. So he's okay, but I guess he's a little bit better than okay, because the Lakers do give up a good amount of transition scoring, which is definitely Derek Jones Jr. game. So I'd be okay with Jones Jr., but again, it's really hard to pinpoint when you're going to get those ceiling games from a guy like him, because he could really, really bury you. Like, he could get like 12 tonight, and I would not be surprised.
I love Zub. I think Zubac's a really strong play. Ownership just can't get there at a loaded center position. He does just have set. I mean, the revenge, I know someone brought it up earlier. It's been many, many years, but he was drafted there. He played on the Lakers for a bit. It's more so there's no AD. He gets to go against Jackson Hayes instead of AD for a very solid price tag. I like Rui. I always like Rui. Gonzaga boy, 5,100, but a very fair price tag, which should keep his ownership relatively in check. And yeah, without Christie, I think that's a little boost to him. Without AD, it can't just be LeBron that has everything on his shoulders. Like Gabe Vincent, I know he talked about it a little bit, but I'm not really worried about him taking usage off of Rui, stuff like that. Hayes isn't really much of a guy there. So if that is the starting lineup, LeBron, Reeves, and then Rui, he has to be more aggressive. So I like him. And then I'm good with LeBron and Harden too, as spends on this slate. LeBron, the only one priced above 10K. Someone asked this. Gafford or Zubac if you had to pick?
Gafford if Embiid is out.
There you go. I like the answer. All right. Last game of the slate, Rio. Good stuff as always. Indiana Pacers taking on the Portland Trail Blazers. 4.5-point favorites are the Pacers. 233.5 total. Injuries for this. Nothing on the Portland side to worry about. Robert Williams is doubtful. Indiana side, not the case. So Miles Turner, questionable. We saw him miss yesterday. Thomas Bryant got the start, was very popular, had a very solid game. Aaron Nesmith was a midday downgrade I'm seeing with an ankle injury. Never like to see midday downgrades. 2 pretty big Q tags. The problem is 5 games lock within 7 to 8 Eastern, 2-hour window to this game at 10 Eastern. Can you just plug in right away? Thomas Bryant, 3.2K. If Miles Turner's out, I think that is who you want for value. I'm probably going to be doing it unless you talk me out of it. And then also, how is Miles Turner defense compared to Miles Turner? Because we're seeing some ownership on DeAndre Ayton, and I don't think that part, the other side, is talked about enough. You literally just said it with Embiid. If he misses, you like Gafford a lot more than if he plays. Makes a lot of sense. Who's the better defender? Are they similar? You're not scared of either for Ayton?
Be there.
So what?
Good. Yeah, is my internet holding up okay? Because I was getting just kind of breaking up a little bit.
You're
Okay,
good. Did you hear me? My question?
Yeah, so you're just asking about the defense between Bryant versus Miles Turner, right?
Yeah, because Ayton is looking to get some ownership at center.
Yes, I'm looking this up right now because last night I believe the Pacers gave up a ton of rim points. Yeah, they gave up. Oops, hold on. Yeah, they gave up a good amount of rim scoring last night to the Jazz. So yeah, I mean, I think Thomas Bryant, we kind of know what type of. He's not a good defender. Like he's just not. There's a reason why he's been a backup center his whole career. There's a reason why the Heat were okay trading him off. So yeah, it's definitely a pretty big downgrade because Miles Turner is a very good shot blocker, and even like years past, the Pacers have been pretty bad defensively around the basket, but they've been really good this year. Been slightly worse with their 3-point defense. So yeah, definitely a pretty big drop off from a defensive standpoint. So I'm okay with the Ayton ownership because I think that he's a very, very strong play tonight. I guess I'll just lead with him because he's playing some like the best basketball of his career, coming off of a 2020 game against his old team. Probably a little bit more motivation factored in there. But even before that, I mean, a couple of really, really tough matchups against Miami. He had a huge game against Milwaukee, Orlando. Like those are three of the best rim protecting teams in the league, and he still put up 40 points against them. Now going up against the Pacers, possibly with no Thomas Bryant, I think is a really good spot to attack DeAndre Ayton. So yeah, I think that he's the best on the Blazers tonight. But I do like Denny a little bit too. 6.9K for him. He's been playing really well as of late as well. 43 plus DK points in 3 out of his last 5. Did see the minutes come way down in 2 of the 5 games, which obviously led to fewer fantasy points. But we've seen Chauncey Billups really be willing to play him close to 40 minutes in close games, which his game is projected to be. So I think Denny is a guy I probably want to get a little bit more of. Another guy you can probably project at like 36 to 37 minutes versus the 32, 33 that I'm seeing around the industry. And Anthony Simons definitely don't want to play him and at any sort of ownership. This is a tough spot for him with Andrew Nembhard out there. Their on-ball defense for the Pacers has been really good with Nembhard out there. So yeah, I'm okay getting away from Simons. Probably don't really like too much of the other guys. I think Kamara is okay at 5.9K just because he's playing a ton of minutes. But also it's kind of like a Derrick Jones Jr. play on a lesser degree. Like hard to know when that ceiling is coming, and we're paying a premium for it. So I think it's just Denny and Ayton for me on the Portland side. Indy side, yeah, probably be under the impression that Miles Turner is going to miss tonight. Obviously, one of the bigger guys on the trade market right now, so probably playing with Thomas Bryant starting. Trying to think through if there's any sort of like 2v2s that make sense. Like, I don't know who you'd have to go with on the other side, or like somewhere in the mid tier to.
You assume you'd have him at util.
Yeah.
Jared Vanderbilt, Connect. You'd want a Rui probably a 2v2 to probably drop a mid tier like a Zubac or like a Harden down to a more mid tier guy and stuff. I don't know. It feels like if you get that wrong, good luck trying to ship on the slate. Like there's other good games earlier. It feels tough.
Yeah, you'd probably be looking at him with like one of the spends, I would imagine, since you're spending down. So you probably want somebody like a Halliburton, Siakam, like Zubac. Well, I don't know I guess Zubac, Kawhi, those types of guys.
Yeah. And then drop like a Norm Powell range or a Denny, and then up from a Bryant to like a Rui or something. Like
yeah, it'd have to be something probably like that. Yeah. Yeah, so like basically like what we're trying to say is like have a plan in place. Think about some 2v2, 3v3 swaps. If you're playing Thomas Bryant, just be prepared for that. But yeah, I would think that he's one of probably the best value on the slate if Miles Turner does get ruled out. Didn't play as many minutes last night as I was expecting versus I guess 26 is pretty solid, but he did play like 29 the first time he got the start. Honestly, kind of luck boxed into a solid game. I don't know if you were watching it, but I'm obviously here in Utah, so they had it on the local broadcast. But he was at like 13, 14 fantasy points before his last rotation. Got a steal, got an and one, and then got a couple blocks and like a couple putbacks. Like got like really salvaged what would have been, I say, a pretty bad night for him, considering that he was starting. So just something to keep an eye on. Obviously, it's a pretty soft matchup with the Blazers being weaker in the rim. He did shoot the ball terribly from 3-point range. I don't know if he even made 0 for 4 from 3. So if he makes a couple of those, looking a lot better. Yeah, Yeah, I don't like Tyrese Halliburton 8.5K. Tough matchup with Tumani Kamara on him. I think that's enough for me to get off of him. Won't be Xing him out just because we know that he has that slate breaking ceiling. He had a huge game against Miami, I believe it was, when him and Miles Turner shipped 100K for me. So definitely know that he's got the ceiling with him even in a tough matchup. But I think that the spot is a little bit better for Siakam. Obviously, we talk about it all the time. Like it's hard to get ceiling from Siakam, especially now that he's 8K. But from a matchup standpoint, the rim defense for the Blazers is very bad. So that's kind of where you want to play Siakam. He's been scoring the ball really well as of late, 20-plus real points in 4 straight games. So I slightly prefer him over Halliburton for the matchup. But I think Hallie's definitely got the higher upside. And I don't really think that Aaron Nesmith being out does too much for me. Like Ben Shepherd going to mix in a little bit more, probably a little bit more Jarris Walker. But, yeah, it's kind of gross on the Pacers side. I definitely don't want more than 2 right now, but I would be probably okay if I just had 1.
What's the likelihood that, give me like a percentage, that Miles Turner's out and it's Bryant starting? 90%, 75%? I know it's a total spitball. Like, don't say 99% he gets ruled out and everyone's going to go attack Rio, but if you had to put a real designation on it, because it's important. Like, you can figure out 2v2s maybe. I still think you're going to be giving up. Like, if you play Thomas Bryant and then turns out that Miles Turner's in, you really would wish that you didn't play Thomas Bryant, that you didn't have to worry about that 2v2. So give me a percentage.
I'd probably say like 60-40 he plays versus sits. I guess I want
60-40 Turner plays 60% of the time, he sits 40.
Yeah. Okay. I could find this out. It would take me a second, but just in terms of like how often he plays on a questionable tag. But yeah, I don't know what for the like the spread, do you think it'd be closer or further apart if he were in versus out? Because 5 points against Portland, I feel like even on the road probably should be a little bit more. I just don't think Portland's very good, but they are playing better right now. So I don't know if that is. I
don't know how much Miles Turner moves the needle in 2025. I really don't. I don't think he moves it really too much. Where I wouldn't be surprised like if he's out like the line half a point maybe. Like I don't know. Portland's they played the Bucks really well. Like they're coming into their own. I think it's more so with that.
Again, the Sixers news as we're on the show right now. I'm just checking out thing.
Gordon out, Lowry out. We didn't get Embiid. It's a lot of outs. I will. Thank you, Matt. I thought that it was already out because I saw Miles Turner already questionable, but maybe not. So it was not a midday downgrade for Nesmith. He just got listed questionable, I guess. Thank you, Matt. That's definitely a big difference. I
have the numbers for Miles Turner. Yeah, so like just some stuff I'm looking at that it kind of like calculates the odds somebody plays just like historically when they have a questionable tag. He's about 55%. So basically split down the middle. He's playing versus out.
All right. Yeah, I like that. That helps a lot. Let's just circle back real quick. I know a lot of the members probably don't want us to circle back. Again, all of our projections will be updated, though. Ownership updated until lock. Rio, you're in the Discord. And my man BJ, Ham, core report's always up if anything changes. Can always find them in yellow, but no Lowry, no Eric Gordon. They obviously just traded Martin. Was there another? And no Drummond as well. So we didn't get Embiid injury news. I mean, let's say Embiid plays. He'd be really strong at 9,600, hey? Center's really good, I guess, but I don't know. You don't think so?
I think he's going to be very, very limited, I would imagine. He's been out. Like, he had a setback, too, because he was ramping up to play, like, a month ago and then had the setback and hasn't – he was, like, practicing with the intent to play that week and then had the injury that set him back. So I would imagine he's – like, I don't want 26 minutes from somebody at 9.6K personally.
Do you think that he'd be under 30?
Yeah, I think so. I think, like, almost 100% he'd be under 30 minutes. Like, maybe 28 is the high end.
Yeah, you don't want 20 minutes. So what does it do mainly for like the Justin Edwards of the world? Wasn't KJ Martin questionable too for him?
Embiid is in.
There we go. So I guess that probably limits all those a lot of those secondary, like the Ricky Council of the world, stuff like that.
Well, no, not necessarily because Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry are out. So they need to fill that. Like they are pretty thin. Like Reggie Jackson probably can play a little bit. I don't think they're going to play Jeff Downton at all. Definitely not playing Pete Nance. So like Justin Edwards, I think he's still in line to play probably 30 plus minutes tonight.
What do you think his usage like?
I mean, it's going to be low. You're honestly just hoping that he runs into a couple rebounds and it gets hot from three. But yeah, I mean,
anyone that's on the court for that cheap, I guess, for 35 plus minutes, like you're fine with that. But yeah, any of those guys are going to be the fifth option for sure. With now Embiid, the Maxis, the Oubres, but value is already not great. I don't know how compare him to Cam Whitmore. Compare him to, I guess, Duncan. He's pretty much priced in the middle of Duncan Robinson and Whitmore, kind of the Zaire Williams of the world, the Keon Johnsons.
Yeah, I think he's like. He's probably towards the end of the list for all those guys, I would say. Just I like all those guys for different reasons. Like the Nets guys, just a lot more opportunity for them in terms of like offensive stuff, like just very little usage or a lot of usage to go around, I should say. And then like Rozier is one of the best values in the slate at his price. Duncan, really good pivot off of Rozier. Yes, I would. Just like from a price perspective, I think Agbaji is the better play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to see when projections get updated, stuff like that as well. I mean, if you think Edwards plays 33 plus minutes, I would like him. I mean, even if 33 minutes, he might only shoot the ball 5 times, but he can fall into assists, rebounds, steals, blocks on a slate where value is already not great. And I don't think his ownership's really going to get too high with Embiid in, obviously takes up so much usage.
Last thing I guess about that, because the KJ Martin stuff, I don't think he got listed. I don't think they've reported anything on him. That's kind of big because that's another wing that they just won't have. Like they probably would be down to 8 guys. I guess technically they would have 10. I don't know how much they really want to play Jeff Downton or Pete Nance, like if at all, especially with Embiid coming back. So if KJ Martin is out, that's another like 15, 16 minutes you have to spread around, and you really can't give Maxi and Kelly Oubre more than they already have right now. So it's going to be Edwards and Council and Yabusele getting those minutes.
Good point. Any final thoughts on this slate before we get out of here? Actually, one thing before you do have final thoughts. Haven't done it yet. Save the marketing for the end, but our best deal is still going on. Ship 50, gets you $50 off your first month with the Shiptimizer. So $99, usually all of our content with the optimizer. Take 50 off of that, $49. No better time to get in. Super Bowl Sunday this week, so you get all the content for that. Waste Management, always one of the best PGA events around here. Big boy prizes. And don't forget, doesn't just start Thursday. All those showdown contests. Rio, $26,000 richer thanks to the golf content over here. MMA pay-per-view season. Can't wait for again this week. I think we saw like 11 more straight weeks. NASCAR, I want to shout out Eric the Game. He's our guy, our NASCAR guy. It was the pre-open before the actual open. I think Daytona's this week, but there was like pre-races with contests. Man, so many SHIPIT Nation logos. Check out the Discord in NASCAR. So many screenshots. Shout out to Eric. As you can see, NFL, one more week left. PGA going on. MMA going on. NBA, of course, going on. NHL, shout out to Nades. NASCAR going on. So many sports. $49, you can get the whole month with an optimizer. Legit, no better deal out there. Don't even think it's close. Ship 50 is all you have to do for the promo code. Gets you $50 off your first month. Final thoughts on this, Rio? Anything else you want to add? Injury situations, if-thens, what you're doing tonight, what you're eating tonight, anything on your mind before we get on out of here?
Yeah, I got some leftover curry, so I'm gonna have some of that for dinner tonight, I think.
Nice.
But yeah, I guess to kind of like piggyback off what you said, I'm sure everybody's already kind of trickling out, but like you got the marking stuff out of the way. But yeah, I don't think that there's a better team out there in terms of PGA. I could say a lot about every other sport. Like I've accredited a lot of my MMA winnings to you and Marley's breakdowns as well. And for sure, the one good night I've had in NHL is all because of Big Nate. So I have nothing but good things to say about him. But like for PGA, just the way that the content's broken down with James's DGen's stream on the Wednesdays before the shows or before the slate locks, and then GS Luke's showdown streams every, round 2, 3, and 4, and then the, Hoop and Tambo hopping on today. Just the way that all the content's broken down makes it super easy for somebody like me that I honestly don't know much about golf. Like, I don't get into all the advanced analytics and stuff like I do for NBA, like I do for MLB and NFL and all that stuff. So having them to kind of lead the way for that makes it super easy. So yeah, definitely the best team in the PJ industry, in my unbiased opinion.
Yeah, I don't even think it's close. I said it last week. I said a lot of people in the industry do a lot of good work in all these sports. I'm not going to say we have the best. We have the best MMA. I'm not going to say we have the best NBA, NHL. Even though I do believe in some of those, I very confidently will say we have the best PGA team in the industry. Again, it's more of, I guess, a niche thing. I guess there is a lot of golf now. I don't even know if I'd consider golf niche anymore with the prize pools and how big it's gotten. But by far, with how loaded our team is, D-Gen coming over in the merger, he keeps adding on his D-Gen scorecard. If you're like Rio and I that don't know about all these million golfers and you do want to find out, is he a good putter? Is he a bomber? Is he bad on no-cut events? Whatever it may be, little stuff like that, D-Gen and his no-card, little bullet points really helped me out when I'm debating a 1v1, 2v2, etc. So much content to digest, so many shows. Shout out Rio, $26,000. Like button, subscribe button on the way out. Helps us out a ton. Good luck, everybody, in the 7-game NBA slate. Rio and I will be back tomorrow for a big boy Wednesday slate for Rio on Titletown. Be safe. Peace.